Welcome to this teacher edition of scheduling practice exams in the Vretta DAP. So as we dive in, you are going to go into your Vretta DAP platform. So again, aba.vretta.com, log in with your ECSD credentials, choose your teacher account, and voila, you're here. Now we're going to ignore these first three sections. These are our field test sections. So we're going to go down to our practice exam space, also known as classroom assessments. And so this is a really great opportunity when you're in these classroom spaces, groupings, to familiarize your students with the platform. So you can familiarize them with the writing platform, the written response, and what that looks like. You can also use that written response one for everyday exams. You have the option to use one question responses or three. And so you can use it in that manner. But also just to get them familiar with all of the tools that are in here, that is something that is really important. You can also use this for your to practice your in grade 6. You could practice, it's one exam, it's one practice exam, but it does have math, it does have science, and it does have ELA or ELAL built into it so that you can kind of practice some different question types. And actually have students practice that whole idea of like logging into the secure environment because it's very different than the public practice. Grade 9, you're going to have a lot of different groupings, and I'm actually just going to jump into my archive classes for a moment, and I'm just going to pull up one of my grade 9 ones just so that you can see what this does look like. And so jumping down here, I've got all of those, and I've got an ELA 30-2. And so actually, let's jump in and take a look at what each one does. All right, so I have created a grade 6 practice exam space. I have created a ELA 10-1 just so that you can see what it looks like for any other grade. Created a grade 9 as well as a 30 grade 12 one. So we will start by jumping into this grade 6 practice exam. And so just to show you, I will jump into that class by selecting on it. So select class. It's going to jump me to the top of the page where I have this assessment place. So just to navigate what this is you have an access code that you're going to need to give to your students along with their ASN and their birth dates so that they can log into the platform. You do not need to add students to any of these groupings. As soon as the students join with that access code, they are going to have access to it and they will automatically populate that category. Now, to schedule my assessment, it tells me I'm in my grade 6B practice exams. It tells me who my supervisors are. I can add or remove supervisors from here as well. And I can start or schedule an assessment session. Now, what's important in a practice grouping is you can only schedule only one exam at a time. The practice exam space and the field test exam space are both programmed very differently. In the field test, you can schedule more than one exam. In the classroom practice or the practice exam space, you can only do one at a time. So you're going to select this green button by hovering over top of it. And then from there, you're going to get this little menu, and it says, what type of assessment are you supervising? You can select this. Now, for all of these categories, whether it's grade 6, grade 9, grade 12, or any of the other grades, you're always going to choose the practice exams and released items. When you select that, it is going to tell you and give you a little note that if you want the text-to-speech, so you want students to be able to experience that text-to-speech, you need to search for the exams that have a TTS beside them. Now, when I click on this next drop-down, which assessment is being delivered in this session, I have the option for, so this is grade 6, practice written, 1 question. You also have the French versions. You have a practice written response, 3 questions. You have a grade 6 sample test. And so if you went into that public site, you'll see what that looks like. You have a grade 6 sample test with the TTS, which is the text to speech. So if you want to have that audio component, you need to click that. It doesn't work by just selecting the accommodation. And then of course you have that practice test also in French with the text to speech and without. So you have those different options. Once you have selected it, you do not need to name it. If you want to, that's completely optional. So if you want to just put it with a date, so practice written response number 1, Now, these written response practices, just so that you know, do not actually have an assignment attached to them. So students you'll have to come up with that assignment on your own. It can be a previous exam. You'd give them the paper copy of it. Once they have that paper copy, then that is their exam, kind of like what they're going to be doing. And then they would use this platform to be able to actually do the writing inside. And so I'm just going to select OK once I'm done. Now, again, I did tell you that you can only do one exam at a time in a practice space. Once I am in here, you will see now I have my class code still, and I'm in my assessment place. So at the top, there's a breadcrumb, and it tells me my groupings. I'm in my 6B practice exam, and I'm in the practice written response that I have assigned for students. And so now this is what it looks like. I'm just going to jump out of it because we're not going to talk about administering right now. When I jump back on that breadcrumb, now I'm back to that one where I did schedule the assessment. Now note, this is my active assessment. There's no selecting dates. You can just run this whenever you want. There's no due dates for it. It's just run this exam when you want. It just tells you when it was scheduled. So now, of course, when I want to run that, I will click on that with my students, but otherwise I have my active assessment scheduled. Now, if I want to do another one, you need to administer that and submit it before you can add a new one. Then I can scroll on down here just to kind of show everyone else a few different options. In grade 9, when I select that class and I go to schedule an assessment, and so yes, I've been playing in here, so I already have one that was submitted. This is what it looks like when it's completed, and you'll have them all listed under here. So as you continue to practice in this space, every time you administer an exam and you complete it and submit it, then it will show up as like thunk, thunk, thunk underneath. But I already have one that is scheduled here, and so from there I can't do anything further. I'm not going to add another one. So this one is done right now. Now my grade 12, just to show you here, I don't have anything scheduled, so I can schedule one. Again, access code students I do not need to add. I'm going to click on this start or schedule. Again, it's going to ask me what type. Everyone's going to always choose this practice exam and released items. Now when I select that grade 12, you'll notice that you have a lot more options. Please note that the government is adding more to here as well, so this is what you have at this moment in time, but if you check back next week, they might have a couple more additions. So then you can choose a Chemistry 30 practice test and select OK, and boom, it's going to take you automatically into that. How do I get back out of it? I go back with my breadcrumb. So I'm going to jump back out. Here is my test scheduled. I can activate it and administrate it at any point in time. Now, just to kind of jump a little bit further, I'm going to jump back into this grade 9 because technically it probably will let me do this first step, but it says there is an existing assessment currently, therefore no new assessments can be made. So it won't actually let me, it'll let me get this far where I can choose the practice exams and I can choose the assessments, and I just want to go this far because I want to show you how many different ones they have in here so that students can experience this secure environment. So you even have some K&E courses in here as well. Again, you're looking for the TTS for the text-to-speech, and this is what they have available. If I went and clicked on one and then I tried to hit OK, it's going to tell me no because I already have one scheduled. For any other grade in the all other grades, it's the same process. You're going to click on it. You're going to click on the start assessment. You're going to choose the practice exams and released items, and you're going to have all of these other options in here. Excuse me. Now, do note that usually if you're in other grades, so grade 7, 8, grade 10, and 11, using this, you're probably going to choose this for your everyday exams. So you're going to be looking at choosing the practice written response, either in English or French, with the one question where you're going to want them to give you one response, whether it's a narrative or a persuasive letter or essay, whatever it might be. Or you have three options. So if you wanted like a couple different source analysis in social studies or something else like that, you wanted to have three different written responses for students, then you would choose this one. So this is the area that most of our other classes in our other assessments, all other grades, they're going to choose this mostly for the written responses. But again, if you choose it that way, you need to give the students a paper copy of whatever your assessment and assignment is, and then they can use that platform to actually do it in that secure environment where they can't access tools like ChatGPT or the web browser or anything like that. And so this is your practice exam space. Note please that those practice exams are super important prior to students running field tests. So because we're only doing field tests this year, we have that low risk kind of environment, but it is still super important for you to actually prepare your students for success in those field tests by administering practice exams. So we are encouraging everyone to get in here as often as you can, and if you need any support, you can reach out to either Joel or myself, or even your subject area consultants. We have been working with them to see what this kind of looks like. So thanks for joining, and I hope that you have at least one practice exam scheduled for your students now.